Hi everybody, welcome back to English 116. This is for our class for Monday, the 11th, where I wanted to talk about paper number 2. And if you can see in the notes below, paper number 2, its due date is coming up. That will be on the 13th, which is this upcoming Wednesday. So I'm going to keep this video short so that you can work on paper number 2. You probably noted that I caught up quite a bit with my discussion form responses to you on your discussion form questions. I was able to respond to all of your responses about drama, which could help you with paper number 2. So I encourage you to read not just my response, but also the not just my response to you, but my response to your classmates as well. And as you know, we won't have time to write a paper number 3 on poetry, but that's why the bulk of the examination, the final examination, is going to be devoted to poetry. But getting back to paper number 2, it's basically very similar to what you did with paper number 1, where I am asking you to either identify something that you think is canonical that we've either watched or read in the drama section, or something that is not canonical in that section and indicate why, or to identify something that you think does or does not have contemporary relevance, whether it be text or it be performance. And in terms of creating your own topic, that certainly is a possibility as well. You just want to make sure that you approve that topic by me. Again, looking at the discussion forums can help you or might help you if you are still in the midst of trying to finish up your paper. But the paper is due on Wednesday, the 13th. The very latest I could accept that paper would be the very ending of the semester, and that happens to be when our final exam is going to be. And I'm going to be posting our final exam on the 18th of December, which is the last class that we would have. And I will post it at the time in which we would normally meet if we were meeting face-to-face at 10:30 a.m. And if we were meeting face-to-face, you'd have 2 hours for that examination. We are not meeting face-to-face, so I will give you 24 hours to complete that exam. I don't expect you to spend 24 hours taking that exam, but approximately 2-ish hours or so. The exam will be open book, open notes, so you can utilize things like our videos and class discussion forums and your papers. And what I will be doing is asking a series of essay questions and giving you choices, and then asking you to focus most of your attention on poetry. That'll be the bulk of the exam, 80 points. But there will also be 10 points that will be devoted to short story and 10 points that will be devoted to drama. Again, I'll be offering you a series of prompts and asking you to choose within those prompts and to write essay responses. I know your responses won't be as long or as detailed or as well developed as anything you would do with the paper. Again, the idea is that you could synthesize some of the major points we've talked about in the semester in an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. But outside of that, I certainly don't expect the length of the development that you would be writing in a paper, because you don't have 2 weeks. You basically have 2-ish hours. Though, as I indicated, I'll give you 24 hours for that examination. So you can see that we have 4 poems left, which I will be talking about next class on Wednesday. The Road Not Taken, a very famous, iconic poem by Robert Frost, just as famous perhaps as Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day. And interestingly, just like Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, The Road Not Taken is often misinterpreted and misread. So we'll talk about some of the reasons why. The poem America by Allen Ginsberg. He's known as a beat poet. These were a group of poets who were writing in the 1950s who were very defiant, writing in a stream of consciousness format. In other words, trying to mimic the thought patterns that we have. So oftentimes it's nonsensical. Oftentimes it deals with taboo subjects. Oftentimes it's shocking and even unsettling. and sometimes it's just impossible to understand. So we'll move from that to a local poet who teaches actually at UMass Amherst. His name is Martin Espada. He's done poetry readings both at UMass and most recently at the Lava Center in downtown Greenfield. His poem is entitled Coca-Cola and Coco Frio. And in my opinion, in another 100 years or so, he might be up there as well known as the Robert Frost of the world. The thing is that oftentimes what is necessary for an artist to garner serious attention is to no longer be living, because that means that their output has been halted. And then finally, we'll end with a poem that was delivered at the last presidential inauguration, The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. And you can see that I've got the links below. The Road Not Taken is also included in the textbook on page 871, at least of the version that I had ordered. One of the interesting things about The Road Not Taken is that the textbook gives you an example of an explication, of an analysis of how you could go through talking about that poem. Not that that's the only way of discussing that poem. So I also wanted to talk about that explication as well. And that'll put closure to our semester. So for today's attendance question, which will be due on Wednesday the 13th, do you have any questions about paper number 2? And if so, what are those questions? Do you have any questions about the second paper? And if so, what are those questions? If you don't have any questions, you can just say no, and that'll put closure onto that. So as I said, I'm going to end this early so that you can hopefully put finishing touches on paper number 2. I hope that's where you are with the second paper. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, and we will finish up poetry next class. Take care. Bye-bye.